Okay, let us quickly recapitulate what we have done so far. So, we followed what? We followed the geometrical technique and trigonometric algebraic technique to solve inverse kinematics. So, going in same line, I'll just quickly do one small robot, that is 3 degree of freedom, revolute prismatic robot, that is the cylindrical robot that you have done earlier in forward kinematics also. So, what should be x for this? Anyone? X for this? Let us look it from the top. I will draw it from the top. So this should be your x0. Okay, this should be your y0. Other two links are vertically above this. So this is what? This is z0, which is protruding out of this plane. Okay, so this link, this d3 distance, you also have d2 distance which is here, and you have a fixed distance of d1 which is here. Okay, so how much is d3? If it is running in a uh, yes, so it is rotating like this. So if it is like this, so this is your theta 1, this is your d3, so it is minus d3 sine theta 1. Clear? So similarly y will be, so sine was like this, so this is cosine, so d3 cosine theta 1. How much will be z? Z will be directly sum of d1 and d2. Okay, z will be d1 and d2, whereas d2 is joint variable, right? D2 is joint variable, theta 1 is joint variable also, and d3 is also a joint variable. D3 is also joint variable. All these three are joints which are having actuators that can move the robot. So this is what is the concept of cylindrical robot. So overall the workspace which it has, it is something like cylinder, so it can remain within that. Okay, so this is what. So now having these three equations in hand, I would find out what? I would find out the variables, joint variables. What I know in hand is x, y and z, that is end effector position is known. I have to find out the variables, joint variables. So these are forward kinematic equations that can be derived trigonometrically the way I did it for simple robots. Otherwise you have to follow forward kinematics technique, that is a matrix based technique. Okay, so going to this, so this can be quickly done. You see, theta 1 is simply, if you take y by x, x by y, x by y, so using equation 1 and equation 2, if you just divide them, what you will get, it is theta 1 is equal to tan inverse of minus x by y, is it not? Is equal to tan of theta 1. So theta 1 will be inverse of this immediately because d3 gets cancelled off. Okay, now how much is d2? Second variable, d2 is the joint variable as well. d1 is constant, z is known variable, so finally d2 is this. Then okay, squaring and adding these two equations, squaring and adding, you get something like this. So d3 is also this. Okay, now how many solutions can it have? How many solutions are possible for this? Solution is quite simple. You see, x square plus y square root over, that means d3 can have two values, plus or minus. Similarly, theta can be theta, or theta can be, if it is tangent solution, theta can be this or this. In the both the cases, the value remains the same, right? All sine tan, so tangent. So if it is theta, it can also be pi plus theta, is it not? In both the cases, tan theta remains the same. That means it has at least two values. What is the physical significance of that? First one says your robot is facing this way and your D3 is pointing this. Okay, so when D3 is positive, okay, you are in this quadrant, okay, and this is theta 1, okay. Another one could be your robot is not pointing this way, it is pointing 180 degree other side, okay. So that means it is along this side, okay, but your first angle, that is theta 1, is pi plus theta 1, okay, but D3 is now negative. D3 is now negative. That means it can turn to 180 degree, and instead of D3 protruding out, it goes to the other side, okay, and comes out from the other side. That means D3 is negative. So effectively it has two solutions. Clear? So this is a robot which has two solutions. This was a quick recapitulation of what we did so far. Okay, so now moving ahead to industrial robots, that is the topic of today's lecture. So moving ahead with 4 degree of freedom SCARA robot. SCARA robot, you know, it is combination of first joint, that is a revolute joint, first joint, that is a revolute joint, okay. Next joint is also a revolute joint, this also is a revolute joint, okay. Third one is a prismatic one which can go up and down, okay. And the final one is a revolute joint, but it is facing downwards. That is the reason I have drawn all the positive angles and displacement, okay. So this can go like this. So these are the 4 degrees of freedom that makes SCARA. So what all things that these the robots can do? It can, because you know this is theta 1, that is revolute, this is revolute, and prismatic, this is prismatic, okay. D3 is variable, D3 is variable, theta 1, theta 2 and D3 all together, first 3 can make this point go, this point, that is the end effector point, go anywhere in X, Y and Z, correct. It can be taken to if you follow my hand, you can go anywhere in plane if it is a two link. So XY, it is a planar, but now that it also has a prismatic vertical degree of freedom, so it can take it up and down. So that is Z. So it can vary Z also. Okay, so X, Y and Z. Additionally, you have a last degree of freedom, that is theta 3. So going to any place, now you can rotate something. That means you also have a last variable which can be adjusted. So that is directly related to theta 3. Okay, if you go any location X, Y and Z, and then you can rotate in that particular place. Okay, so that means it can simply pick up an object, X, Y and Z translation it can do, okay, and it can rotate in about object's axis, okay. That means end effector can rotate, okay. This is additional degree of freedom. And what it cannot do, see, it has 4 degree of freedom, so that means it cannot do 2 additional motion. What are they? That is roll, okay. Thus this end effector Z axis, it cannot roll, and also it cannot pitch, got it. So rolling and pitching is absent, yawing is there, positioning is all 3 axes, it is there. That means these are the 4 degrees of freedom it has, okay. So it doesn't have 2 of them. So what are known variables? End effector pose is known, it is given by X, Y and Z. Psi is an additional angle, okay, that basically gives the end effector rotation. I'll tell you what is this rotation, okay. What are joint variables? Joint variables are theta 1, theta 2, d3 and theta 4. Okay, those are joint variables. So this is known as scalar. Okay, going to next. So forward kinematics is straight away very simple. We have already done. So XY position is simply when you look this robot from the top, it is just like a 2 degree of freedom robot. Okay, so it is first link, second link, this is A1, this is A2, this is theta 1, this is theta 2, done. Okay, so this point, this is P2. It is vertically above P3 and E. Okay, it is vertically above P3 and E. So P2 can go to XY position. Okay, so effectively this is a two link manipulator. That is what we always look for. So first two links make it a two link manipulator. Okay, so this inverse kinematics of this is well known. So if you know xy of this end effector, that means point E, x and y is exactly same as point 2 x and y because it is vertically above that. So you see it is in vertical above this plane, that means xy of this is equal to xy of this. That means this two link robot with link lengths A1 and A2 with joint angles theta 1 and theta 2 is well known. That means xy can directly be obtained using the given xy coordinate. Okay, done. This is first. Next is z. Z is sum of all the vertical distances. One of them or two of them, one of them is a variable. Which one? D3 is variable because this is a prismatic joint. Okay, so D3 is a variable. That means Z equal to D1. So this is constant, that is offset of link 1. D2, again distance measured along Z axis. D2, that is again an offset which is constant, that forms the structure of link 2. D3 plus D3. D3, that additionally adjusts the height of this E end effector frame. Okay, so this is D3. Okay, and finally you also have D4. You also have D4. This again is along Z axis, so it is offset of link 4. Now because Z axes are downward directed, Z axis, these two Z2 and Z3 are directed downwards, what I should write? I should write these two as negative sign. Done. Okay, so Z is effectively this. One of them is variable, this one. Okay, so this is variable. So that means if you know Z, you know end effector Z location, and these are constants which are known by the link structure. Okay, these are the offsets, these are known. So D3 is directly equal to D1 plus D2 minus D4 minus Z. So that means D3, again one of the variable is now known. D3 is known, theta 1 and theta 2 is known. So what is remaining? Psi is known. Okay, so now what is remaining is theta 4. Now don't let me make this more clumsy. I'll go little ahead. So forward, so that is what I said just now. Theta 1 and theta 2 can be solved using two link subsystem. P2 H2 Y2 is known. Okay, Z2, exactly what I said. So this theta 1 and theta 2 can be given as solution of two link manipulator. This is exactly the robot which is here. Looking from the top, it will look like this. Okay, so we have solved it using coordinate of P2 which is exactly equal to this. So this is the solution for theta 1 and theta 2, done. Okay, next comes D3. As I have said, it can directly be evaluated using D1 plus D2 minus D4 minus Z. So Z is known, D1 D2 is known as well, D4 is also known, all these by structure, this is by the given variable. So this is known. Now coming to the last thing, okay, theta 4. if you see end effector orientation, okay, so it will be sum of all the angles, is it not? So if you look this from the top, first link rotates by an angle theta 1, second link rotates by an angle theta 2, and last link can go up and down, doesn't matter. The entirely last link, fourth link, has additional angle of theta 4, which is in negative direction. So overall angle that end effector turns is actually the sum of theta 1, theta 2 and theta 4. Is it not? So which is given by this. So if at all you have to find out theta 4, what you will do? You will simply do some algebra over here, and this is it. So theta 4 is directly equal to theta 1 plus theta 2 minus psi angle. This is given. These two are joint variables which are calculated here. Okay, these are calculated here. So theta 4 is known. So all the four joint angles are now known. Joint variables are known. One of them is displacement. Three of them are joint angles. Okay, done. So this is how inverse kinematics of Skara is done. And this is very straightforward. You have to look for something which is known, makes things very simple. So this is your two-link subsystem which was known again. That is what we used. Okay, that is what we used. Got it? This is theta 1, this is theta 2. So this is well-known system, so it can be solved. Okay, so Skara is done. This is Ford of industrial robot, which is very popular. It can do pick and place at a very high speed because it doesn't have roll and pitch. It is often known as selective compliance. It doesn't have compliance in two directions. Rest of the two, that is roll and pitch, it doesn't have compliance. It cannot go in that direction. The hardware itself restricts those two motion. You are not controlling those two motion electronically, as you can do maybe in 6 degree of freedom like KUKA KR5 ARC robot, the one which we have discussed, or Yaskawa robot, any 6 degree of freedom robot. Okay, so that is how it is made, and as because it is very popular, I have discussed this. One of the very important type of robot which is omnipresent in industry is 6 degree of freedom wrist partitioned robot. What do I mean by wrist partitioned robot? Means, you see, you have a wrist. I have shown you multiple number of times. Any industrial robot, this toy is very popular, you now recognize this. Okay, so it has first degree of freedom, second degree and the third degree of freedom. So 3 degree of freedom, all three axes are intersecting at a point. That point is known as wrist center point. Okay, so that is always there in most of the industrial robot. If it is an industrial robot, you can quickly find this intersection point. So what is that? So before wrist center point, you have first vertical axis of rotation, next is this axis of rotation, next is this axis of rotation again. Okay, mostly these two are parallel. Over here also graphically it doesn't appear so, but actually they are parallel, this one and this one. Okay, so these two are parallel. So effectively this wrist center point can go to anywhere in space, in its own workspace, provided the link structure allows it. Okay, so it can go to any x, y and z location. Wrist center can go to any x, y, z location. Now what this additional 3 degree of freedom does, which is there at the wrist, is yaw axis, pitch axis and the roll axis. They are intersecting at this point, that is known as wrist center point. Basically what this does, it orients the end effector frame to any orientation. That means roll, pitch and yaw it can attain. Okay, that means effectively that end effector point can go to anywhere in space and it can orient in any angle, roll, pitch and yaw. Any orientation also it can do. Effectively it is a 6 degree of freedom robot. So that is what these are the 6 motions that it can do, and because it has 6 axes serially connected, okay, it is a serial chain system, so it is a 6 dot robot. Okay, so now what will be given is we want to go to XYZ. So this is known. We know how we have to orient. This is also known. Roll, pitch and yaw is known. So these two parameters are known. I want to find out what? I want to find out all the joint angles. Okay, all the joint angles. Where are they? They are located at these joints. First joint theta 1, okay, second joint theta 2, third joint theta 3, and then you have 3 axes, another 3 axes, those theta 4, this is theta 5, this is theta 6. So last 3 is nothing but orientation, that they control the orientation. Got it? So last 3 simply controls the orientation. First 3 controls the position. Doesn't matter. This is given, XYZ is given, roll, pitch, yaw is given. You have to find out theta 1 to theta 6. Done. So you understood the problem now. How will you go for it? Now inputs are, don't look at this figure now. Inputs are end effector position, that is 0 0 6. Position vector of end effector, this is given. This position vector is given. Done. And we also know orientation of end effector frame. This is given. This is given by 3 angles, roll, pitch and yaw. So you know the end effector orientation. That means if you know the last frame, orientation, U, V and W, let us say if it is like this, U, V and W frame, this should be U, V and W, yes, correct. So if this is U, this is V, this is W, these 3 are given, that means projections are given, that means this rotation matrix is given, last rotation matrix is given. 3 cross 3 can be directly obtained by projection of U along XYZ, projection of V along XYZ, projection of W along XYZ. That means if end effector orientation is given, I know how I should orient. That means those 3 projections are given, and finally rotation matrix is nothing but projection of U along X, U along Y, U along Z, V along X, V along Y, V along Z, W along X, W along Y, W along Z. So this is given. Okay, so this is given. Okay, what else is given? End effector pose is given because I already know X, Y and Z. Okay, okay, so these two things are given. This is the input to this algorithm. Okay, now coming to next, what I can find out is wrist center point location. This vector is nothing but position vector of wrist center point, given as this position vector O, that means with respect to the base frame, that is O, wrist center point is given by C, so it is 0 OC. Okay, I call it as 0 OC. 0 06 is given. Last link length D6 is known. D6 is known. We already know this. Okay. This rotation matrix is known. Okay. What it is rotating? It is rotating a frame or just a vector. Okay. It is given by 0 0 D6. This vector is 0 0 D6. So instead of writing 0 0 D6 and rotating that, using the rotation matrix, what I have done, I have taken out D6 and written D6 as a scalar and 0 0 1. So D6 comes here. 0 R6 is the rotation matrix that effectively rotates this about the base frame and orients it in the manner the end effector is oriented. That means D6 is always pointing Z6, the way we do it normally. Okay, so that is the reason. So you know, if D6 length, that means the last link length, what was that? If you can recall your robot system, D6 was this length. Okay, that is the wrist center point, this point to end effector point distance. Okay, so this was D6. Okay, so D6 orients in the way your last frame is oriented. Okay, so D6 rotates along with that orientation. Okay, so you just do what? You rotate that, you rotate D6. Okay, D6 initially was something like this, I assume 0, 0, 1. Okay, and it was oriented like this, and I have applied rotation matrix to rotate this vector to the way end effector is oriented. So this effectively gives me what? This gives me the position vector this. Okay, so this is what? This is position vector. So effectively I will just wipe it off, I will point to there. Okay, so whole of this is nothing but this vector. Okay, whole of this is nothing but this vector. Okay, so
how is different from common normal?
There is no common normal which I am talking about. I am saying this z-axis, which is initially vertically upwards, by applying this rotation matrix which is given. Okay, I have rotated it to the way end effector is oriented. So first link, second link and third link, end effector may be oriented like this. So D6 is oriented in the same manner, okay, as end effector frame. This frame E is rotated. So rotation matrix of this end effector frame rotation matrix effectively has rotated D6. About what? About this base frame which was O. Initially D6 was vertically upwards, given by 0, 0, 1. Okay, given by 0, 0, 1. Okay, I have applied this rotation matrix and made it like this. Okay, so now this is a vector which directs along this, So this is D6. I hope it is clear. So don't confuse with any, yes, don't confuse with any other vectors which may be there. Okay, so this is rotation matrix. I have rotated D6 and aligned it to this vector. Okay, so now this is your vector. Okay, so now simply doing, I have to find out this vector, wrist center point location. Okay, what I know is this. We already know this because we know the end effector position. We now know D6 vector. D6 is now a vector, okay, that is directed like this. I can calculate this by using vector equation this. This is clear? So effectively this plus this should be equal to this. Now that I know this and this is in negative direction, this can be calculated. That is what is done over here. So solving for this, I quickly got the wrist center point location. Solving for this, I quickly got the wrist center point location. That means with the given end effector orientation, and position of end effector given by 006, I calculated this one, 0OC. Okay, 0OC, if you know 0OC, that means now it is a 3 degree of freedom spatial robot. You know this point. You have excluded rest of the things. Orientation part that comes after this, this is first link, this is second link, this is third link. So rest of the 3 was here, that gave you orientation. You have segregated what? Orientation problem to a positioning problem. I have found out this location now. Correct, 006 is now known. Okay, So I have excluded what? From my problem, I have excluded orientation. Now it is a positioning problem. So it is just a 3-link robot with first degree of freedom, that is vertically upwards theta 1, that comes here, theta 1. Next is this degree of freedom, that is theta 2. Next is this degree of freedom, that is theta 3. Okay. So this is next, this is next. 3 degrees of freedom system. So theta 1, theta 2 and theta 3. So this is nothing but 3R spatial robot which we have done earlier. Okay, that we have done earlier. Using that you can find out theta 1, theta 2 and theta 3. Right. If you know the end effector position x, y and z, using this, okay, you can calculate theta 1, theta 2 and theta 3. So it is kinematically it is solvable, closed loop solution is possible. There may be multiple solutions, don't go by that now. Okay, so we have solved for this. What we have done, we have uh, disassociated two of them. First was orientation, next is position. So we have split this problem to two independent problems. First is a orientation problem, next is a position problem. So robots can be rest partitioned. So it was partitioned. Okay. So that is how it can be solved. So after partitioning, I got x, y, z. Okay. What I have used this and last link length d6. Okay, and I found out this location xyz, and I have used this and used our earlier solution of 3R spatial kinematics, okay, inverse kinematics problem, and I solved for joint theta 1, theta 2 and theta 3 angles. Done. Okay, now move ahead. Okay, now that I know theta 1, theta 2 and theta 3, we also know all these link structures. We know this, we know this, we know this. Link structures are known, joint angles are known. So we can do forward kinematics, and what we can find out? We can find out 0R3. That is, now that we know the joint angles, theta 1 is known, theta 2 is known, theta 3 is known, we can quickly find out this by forward kinematics. So using forward kinematics, what I can obtain is, if you do forward kinematics, what all things you will get? You will get position of this location. Okay, so that will come here. What will this be? 0R3, that is 3 cross 3 matrix will give you this. Rest is 0, 0, 0, next is 1. Done. So this will give you this. If you do forward kinematics using the values of theta 1 and theta 2 and theta 3, you can quickly obtain 0R3. That is rotation matrix of this point, okay, this frame, rotation matrix for this frame. So that is quickly obtained. That is step number 3 to do this. Okay, moving ahead, now that you already know 0R6, 0R6 was given as an input because you know the end effector orientation by roll pitch yaw angles. So 0R6 is known. So 0R6 is nothing but 0R3 and 3R6, is it not? So that also can be split. Now bringing it to here, so that is what is done. That is what is done. So this can be written as 3R6. 3R6 is nothing but 0R3 inverse into 0R6. Done. So 3R6 is evaluated. Okay, so that is how it is done. Got it? So altogether each of them are combination of multiple rotation matrix. Altogether 6 transformation matrix are there. So forget that, you just recall your this 0R6 is given, 0R3 can be obtained using theta 1 to theta 3 values, knowing the structure of first 3 links, okay, and you can find out 0R6, okay. Now, what is 0 R6? If you recall your spherical risk solution, exactly this one, spherical risk solution, 0 R6 is a part of this. Where is it hiding? It is this. It is this matrix. So this is 0 R6. No, sorry, this is 3 R6, because you just have orientation matrix, that is 3 R6. So this is 3 R6. Okay. So that is directly it can be obtained. Okay. So if you can recall your this for spherical rest forward kinematics, it is exactly this equation. Now what is known? 3R6 is known. You just have found out using this. You have found out 3R6 like this. Okay, so 3R6 is known. 3T6 is given by this. Now I have to find out what? Theta 4, theta 5 and theta 6. So three variables which are here, 4, 5, 6. So all these variables which are there has what? Theta 4, theta 5 and theta 6 terms over here. Okay. Now this is a known matrix. This is a known matrix. Okay. So I'll equate both of them. Okay. How I'll do it? See. So 3R6 is known. Okay. This values are unknown. This is known. Okay. This is what is this one. Okay. This is what is this. This can be rewritten as this. Okay. Moving ahead. So 3R6 is this, as I have said. I have simply rewritten it like this. Okay. So this is the interpretation of spherical rest forward kinematics. Now I am going to apply what we have obtained just now. That is, this one we have obtained. Okay. So all these values are known. Okay. I'll put them here. We'll see if we can find out. So we can form so many equations. If this value is known, this is one equation. If this value is known, this is one equation. This is one equation. This is one. So all these values are known. So many equations are formed. Only three variables are to be found out. Okay. So it is hope it is doable. Let us see. So if 3R6 is given by, let us say these are the known values. These are the known values. Okay. All these are known. I am equating it to 3R6, which is this one, a part of this. Okay. So that is here. Okay. Now I will form equations and see if it is solvable. Okay. Look very, very carefully now. Okay. Very, very carefully what I am doing. Okay. If you just use these last two terms, okay, what it is basically C4S5, S4S5. If you divide them, what you will get? Okay. So it is C4S5 by C4S5, S, just a sec, signed by S4S5. Okay. So what I am doing basically, I am dividing this by this. So what effective it is now? So it is S4, that is Q23 by Q13, is it not? What this gives? These two will go, so you can get theta 4 is equal to tan inverse of Q23 by Q13, is it not? So tan inverse, that means this is obtained. Okay, this is what can be written as arctan2 solution like this. So trigonometrically it is this. Logically if you go, you know it has many solutions. Those has to be segregated. That means for this positive, this negative, positive, all the things that we have discussed earlier. So this is the solution for theta 4. So you see, using this part and this part, I could get what? Theta 4. Done. Going to next. I will erase them all. Okay. I'll simply erase them all now. I'll go to the next part. Okay. Now look very carefully again. What I am going to do now, I am going to use another part of this. Okay, this time what I did, I have simply squared and summed these two. So what this will give? C4 square S5 square plus S4 square plus S5 square. So effectively it is C4 square plus S4 square S5 square cos square theta plus sin square theta. So this should give me 1. So effectively I am left with what? S5 square. Done. So S5 is simply root over these two terms. Done. So S5 sin theta 5. Sin theta 5 is nothing but Q13 square plus Q23 square. Is it not? So it is sin theta 5 is this. Sin theta 5 is this and cos theta 5 is this. So if you know sin theta 5, if you know cos theta 5, you can write theta 5 as tan inverse of this by this. This is Q33. This is squaring and adding, taking the root. You got sin theta 5. So if you know sin theta 5 and cos theta 5, you could get theta 5 like this. Done. As simple as that. Now theta 6. You see this. Fortunately, uh, risk solution, you don't need to use these. Okay. Only these elements are sufficient to solve this equation. Now I'll use this and this. So you see again, if you can divide these two, what you can get? You get what? C6 will go off. What will remain is, I think I have done some mistake here in writing this. Just a sec. Okay, if you see it carefully, S5C6, 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 it will simply get striken off. Okay, I have to use this probably. Just a sec. There is some error in this. I don't know what. If somebody can figure me out. So it is using 3-2. Okay, just a sec. Okay. So I am using what? Q32, this term and Q31, okay, this term. Dividing them, I am getting theta 6. That means one of them has to be S6 because S5 will go off. One of them is S6. If you look over there carefully, definitely it has to be S6 and C6. So it is giving you what? Theta 6 is equal to tan inverse of this two elements. Okay, so these two elements, it is simply this. So just correct it. It is S5 S6 and S5 C6. So if you divide them, S5 gets striked off. So what is remaining is S6 by C6. So it is tangent of this. It is arc tangent of this, theta 6. Okay. So now using this, what I could get is this. Okay, what additional solution? You know, all of these has so many solutions. Okay, has so many solutions. What alternate solution which is possible is theta 4. Now you look this model carefully. Okay, let us say this is oriented like this. Okay, theta 4 is basically this angle. Okay, this link angle, if you can see this. Okay, so this link angle, if it is oriented like this, if this is theta 4, there must be some angle here. So if you rotate by 180 degree, okay, if you rotate by 180 degree and you come back like this, you again can orient in same manner. That means theta 4 can be theta 4 or 180 degree plus theta 4 and you are still in same orientation. Okay, so this is what is physical meaning of having this. Okay, so this is what is meant by having a solution which is theta 4 is 180 apart. In this case, theta 4 is equal to 180 plus theta 4. Theta 5 is minus theta 5. You also see what we did. So if theta 4 goes 180 degree, theta 5, that is this angle, okay, this angle, this joint angle, so it has to be minus of that angle. Okay, so initially it was positive, now it will be negative angle. So again it is very easily visible, at least theta 5 is minus theta 5, theta 4 is 180 plus theta 4, theta 6 is again theta 6 plus pi. Okay, if you invert it, so this angle also has the same correction, that is 180 plus theta 6. Okay, so that is what. So these three angles are straight away has another solution which is given by this. Okay, so this is an alternate solution for the wrist. That means you have two solution for the wrist, and maybe you have four, how many solutions for the 3R spatial manipulator that comes before. So you have what? You have a robot given like this, okay, and till here, and then you have after wrist solution. So from here you got two solutions for the same orientation. You have two solutions here, and as you know, this itself, the first three link itself has four solutions. Four solutions before that, 4 and this 2. Okay, so four different ways you can reach to this point. Till this point, that is wrist center point, you have four different ways to reach here, and given this point and the orientation, you can orient in same manner by two different ways. That means total solution will be 4 into 2, that is equal to 8 solution for wrist partition robot. Okay, so 4, and each of which can be in two different ways, okay, for the wrist attachment. So it is altogether 8 different solutions which are possible for this type of robot. Done?
All solutions will be elbow up.
Need not. Why?
Okay, elbow down also will include.
Yes, definitely. You see, there are four solutions. There are four solutions. So another one has to be like this. I'll draw one by one. Maybe I can show you some robo analyzer or something after this. Okay. So that will include this. Okay, let me draw it here quickly. At least one or two of them. So if this is one solution, okay, after this I have some orientation like this. I have reached till end effector. Okay, now what could be the another solution? If I draw this one like this is again a possibility. This is number 2. Again let me draw some other solution. If this has rotated by 180 degree, pi plus theta 1, okay, that time the link goes to other side, from that side it comes back in this place and to this place. Okay, those are the other two solutions. Although it looks like same, but actually it is not, because theta 1 has rotated by 180 degree, and this time I am not like this, I am doing this way. Okay, I have rotated and done this way. Okay, so that is another 2. So altogether 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, till here it is 4. Now you know these are the two additional solution for this point to this point. For the same orientation, you can attain in two different ways. Okay, so that is another 2. So 4 till here, 2 till from here. Okay, so that is what is total 8 solutions normally that is there for a spherical wrist. Although all of them are not possible for this robot also. This can definitely have many degrees of freedom, yes, because it can rotate more than 180 degree, but all the arms cannot do this type of motion. This cannot go behind, that cannot come back. Okay, there are many physical constraints which are there. Okay, if you try that, definitely you go beyond your robot and your robot gets damaged. Okay, so that is not possible, that is beyond your robot motion capability. Okay, so the robot doesn't allow you to go there. So there may be many other limitations, physical constraints. Okay, this type of robot, yes, it has many solutions. It can, each of the joint can go 360-degree rotation. Okay, this type of robot, this is in the cobot category, it can have many solutions. This is 7, it has infinite solution. Even if it is not, you just lock one of them with 6 DOF effectively of this robot can attain all the 8 solutions. Okay, so now you can go to Robo Analyzer again, you can check whether it is true or not. So I will show you that now. Okay, so I am stopping this now. Oh, I think that is enough for this. So okay, I will go to Robo Analyzer now. Just a sec, I will stop it. Thank you. Okay, now just look at this, how this works. So I'll just select 6 DOF robot, KUKA KR5, I'll tick yes, and I'll go to where? I'll go to my inverse kinematics module. Okay, again I'll have to select KUKA KR5 ARC robot. So this is what it shows. Okay, so this is what it shows. I cannot zoom it further maybe. Okay. If it is possible, I'll do it. Okay, I'll pan it as when required, don't worry. So I'll just do icon for this location. It shows me solution 1, solution 2, solution 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, forward kinematics. So it can simply show all those solution 1 to solution 2. Okay, it shows 1. There are many graphical hitches in this, so I'll just show solution 1 and solution 2, solution 1 to solution 3. Let me see. Solution, or just show them. Okay, this is solution 1, this is solution 2. You see what has changed. So this is what I was talking about, the spherical wrist. This last frame has turned, that is theta 5 is now minus theta 5, theta 6 is 180. The spherical wrist alternate solutions are here. So one of the frame is just changing, you see. You are at the same wrist center point, okay, but wrist solution is changing. First 3 links are not changing, okay. So these are the 2 solutions. When you see 2 different wrist solutions are there. Now show this one. This is one of the solution. This is one of the solution. Maybe if it is elbow up, okay. Again you have 2 solutions for the wrist. Again you will have 2 solutions for the wrist. For each position you have wrist solution 1 and 2. Okay, I'll again do this. This is elbow up. Now wrist solution will come. Okay, these two are 2 different wrist solutions, elbow up, elbow down. Okay, can you see this? So this is, these are the 2. You do it yourself on your system, you will find this. Okay, so now I'll go to solution 6. This time it is 180 degree for the first link, and again elbow up and elbow down position will come. Okay, again wrist solution 2 will come. Okay, so what is difference between this and this? So first link has changed by 180 degree, this one and this one. Okay, nothing has changed and it is at the same position and orientation. What is difference between this and this? Only wrist solution, 2 solutions are shown. Okay, so that is there. So you see, these are the 8 different configuration which is possible, although the position where it is now is not physically possible for KUKA KR5 ARC robot. This is not physically possible, although it is mathematically possible. It is not possible for KUKA KR5 ARC robot to go there. Okay, so this is not physically possible. So physically there may be only 1 or 2 solutions which exist for the given force. Okay, so that is why actual robot is not that confused. It knows its joint limits and it never goes to the orientation that you don't want. Okay, it always works in an elegant manner. Okay, so physical is more easy, doing mathematical is more easy. Okay, so I think that's all. With this demonstration I'll end this inverse kinematics now. Okay, any queries you can definitely come.